Hi everybody and welcome to another of my Pick of My Pops. This is where I focus on a particular band or artist and I go through my favourite songs by that artist. And today I'm going to be looking at Queen. Now this was a poll winner over on Twitter. I asked who you would like my next episode to be on and Queen was the winner. So let me give you a bit of background of me and Queen. Am I an expert on Queen? Absolutely not. But they're a band that I've really loved listening to over the last nearly 40 years now. So I've done a top 30 Queen songs and I'm going to show you now the positions 30 through to 21. I'm not going to talk through those, but just to show you the songs that have made it into those positions. They're there for you. And I'm going to kick off with the top 20. Now, like I said, this is my favourites. It can only ever be my opinion. There is no such thing as a best of. There's just different people's opinions. And this is mine. You may agree, you may not, but let me know in the comments what you think anyway. But at number 20, I have gone with These Are the Days of Our Lives from the last album released during Freddie's lifetime, Innuendo. And you can't fail to be moved by the video to These Are the Days of Our Lives. Freddie's obviously very, very unwell by this point, but he's still doing everything he can to get the emotion in the song, and he certainly succeeds with that. I love the Brian May solo that's in the middle of that song as well, and it's a difficult song to listen to because of the circumstances, but it's a beautiful song as well, and that's my number 20. Number 19 from Sheer Heart Attack, it's Now I'm Here. I think it's great for showing off. Some of the drum fills by Roger Taylor are fantastic. Great guitar work. Obviously a very sort of powerful song as well once it all kicks in. And a great song from a fun album. It's an album that I'm really starting to get to know more lately and starting to enjoy this. But it's track 6 on Sheer Heart Attack is Now I'm Here. Number 18, a lot of people might have put this song a lot higher, but it's where it sits for me. It is from the News of the World album, and it's very much kind of part of a double act really. It's We Will Rock You. So there was a great quote by Brian May a few years ago where he said that Queen made songs that people can use, and I thought that was brilliant. Things like We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, they are songs that, you know, they're going to be sung in stadiums for decades to come. And We Will Rock You, it's very simple, but it's very, very effective at what it does. And then the way that it just kind of builds up towards the end, you hear Brian's guitar just coming in and then, and he does that little solo at the end. It's a classic song, it's a legendary song. I've got it as my number 18. At number 17, it's from the Game album here, and it is again another song that I got to learn through Queen Greatest Hits originally. It's Play the Game. So again, it's one of those that's got the classic layered vocals that Queen was so good at building, those sort of layered harmonies. Not necessarily harmonies like you might hear the Beatles sing or Simon and Garfunkel, but it was very much a kind of a textured thing that felt like it was very much built in the studio, is how it comes across to me. But Play the Game is a great song from that album, and again it's another one that sort of builds on, goes off in all sorts of directions, and is one that I really enjoy. Now number 16 it's one that's it's a very, very famous song by Queen, but it's got quite personal to me as well at the same time, and it is the title track from A Kind of Magic. It's a Kind of Magic. It's a Kind of Magic. This was the first album that I really looked forward to from Queen when I knew that it was coming out. So the album before, The Works, I'd kind of got into, and I really liked a lot of the songs on there. So I was looking forward to this, and of course it was a year after Live Aid and that fantastic performance that they did. So I was excited for this, and I remember it being a nice kind of early spring, early summer evening when we knew that A Kind of Magic was going to appear on Top of the Pops. They were going to be showing the video for it. My mum was excited because my mum really liked Queen as well. And I remember I was out in the back garden. I must have been either practicing practicing my golf swing or practicing my goalkeeping skills, which is what I was doing back in the mid-80s. And I remember my mum calling me in to tell me that Top of the Pops was starting, because we knew that A Kind of Magic was going to be getting its premiere. And we both had exactly the same opinion once it had been on, and that was, what a great video. Song's alright, I suppose, but what a great video. But then as time went by, I learned to really, really love the song as well. So this whole album is kind of an important album for me. 1986 it's one of my favourite years of my life because of all sorts of things that were happening. And this album was very much a part of that. And A Kind of Magic was obviously right at the heart of that. So that is my number 16. At number 15, we are going to the Jazz album. And Bicycle Race. Which is just such a great fun song. Freddie's having a lot of fun with the lyrics as well. There's a particular line in this song that I'd misheard it for years. So the line where Freddie sings, "I don't want to be a candidate for Vietnam or Watergate." For years I thought he was singing, "I don't want to be a candidate or be at number one again." Which kind of makes sense, you know, he just wants to be out on his bicycle. I'm not bothered about being a rock star, I don't need to be at number one again. I just want to be out on my bicycle. And that's how I heard it for years. At number 14, it's track 8 from A Day at the Races, Good Old Fashioned Lover Boy. It's another song that I got to know first from Queen Greatest Hits, and it's very much in the music hall tradition. I think there's some great timing, the way that the music and the lyrics kind of play off each other is a lot of fun to listen to, and it's a song that's around about that kind of middle portion of Queen Greatest Hits, for example, I always really love, and more recently got to know it on the Day at the Races album as well. But brilliant song. But it's a great song, it's a great rock song. It's kind of got a country tinge to it. I think the way that the vocals start when they all come in, "Ah, you're gonna take me home tonight," it's very almost like a country and western theme, but a great song, and that is my number 13. At number 12, we have got, well, it's actually, I've picked this album out, but it's not actually on this album, isn't the version that I'm talking about. I'm talking about Flash, the theme tune to Flash Gordon, which was one of my big films of my sort of the beginning of my teens. It was a film that I watched a load on video back in the day. But that Flash theme that appears on Queen Greatest Hits isn't actually on here. There's very similar versions, but not quite. The version that I like most is the Queen Greatest Hits version. And it's a shame that it's been ruined in the UK by a particular advert for floor cleaner. But never mind, let's not let it sully the majesty of Flash by Queen, which is at number 12. At number 11, we are going back to the Sheer Heart Attack album, and it is track 2, Killer Queen. What a great song. What a phenomenally great pop song of the era. It's a very, the lyrics conjure up a lot of things in your mind, you know, where Marie Antoinette and drinking champagne, let them eat cake and all that kind of thing. But just, it's kind of a template for, if there could be a template for what Queen were, this was like an early version of, well, we've seen what they're like in the first couple of albums, but here's actually what they could become. And I think it's just an absolutely classic pop song. That is my number 11, Killer Queen. At number 10, we are going back to the News of the World album. It's the other side of the two-sided coin that we saw earlier, We Will Rock You, which has to go straight into We Are the Champions. That's my number 10. Again, that phrase of Brian May's, Queen made songs that people can use. Wow, what a song to use. If you've ever been to a stadium for a football match, American football, whatever, it's a song that people can get behind and use for their cause. It's a fantastic song. Freddie's on absolutely top form. I love the version that he does at Live Aid as well. Legendary song, but it's only my number 10. So what have we got moving further into the top 10? At number 9, we are back to the Game album, and it is track 3 from this, Another One Bites the Dust. So probably one of the first Queen songs that I ever knew. It's probably just about the only one that I knew before The Works came out. Other ones had kind of somehow not imprinted on my brain, but Another One Bites the Dust, absolutely fantastic. I've heard a lot of really good bass players that I know and have worked with play the bass line to Another One Bites the Dust. None of them ever get it quite right. And these are really good bass players. They never quite get the timing right. But it is ultimately the thing that you remember about Another One Bites the Dust is that bass line. Just absolutely classic. Fantastic work. And yeah, it's a great song. That is my number 9. So at number 8, we are back to A Kind of Magic. And it's the opening song from the album, One Vision. So a great rock song again. It's very important to me in this whole summer of '86 thing. And a great rock song. Freddie's obviously having fun with the words as well. The fact that he left in his kind of ad-libbed fried chicken. It was part of, you know, you have your kind of working lyrics until you work the lyrics out properly. Freddie liked the fried chicken part and they left it in. And I think that's great because it's like the first time you hear it, it's like, what? Did they say fried chicken? But you just go with it, and in the end, it's fried chicken, fantastic. But it's a great driving song, all based around the number 1, and a great start to that particular album. That is my number 8. At number 7, we're going early. We're going to the Queen 2 album, and the last song on the album, Seven Seas of Rhye. So again, of course, I got to know it from Queen Greatest Hits. And it's one of those songs that I think that album is, for me, probably the best compilation album there's ever been. It's one of the few that is an absolute classic in its own right. And Seven Seas of Rhye, getting towards the back end of that album, is an absolutely key part of it. And a fantastic song, and that is my number 7. Number 6, we are back to the Jazz album. And it is track number 12, Don't Stop Me Now. Have there been many happier songs ever made than Don't Stop Me Now? It is just fantastic. And I've heard Brian May say that he was never actually that fussed for the song, and he was kind of a bit taken aback by the popularity that it's got. And it's one of those songs that certainly in the UK has just kind of got more and more popular over the years. It's such an upbeat song, it's hard to find one that's much more upbeat than Don't Stop Me Now at number 6. At number 5, we are going to the much maligned, but I think not as bad as a lot of people say about it, Hot Space album, and it is the final track, Under Pressure. Now again, this is another one where you can hear some really good bass players play the bass line to it and not quite get it right sometimes. But Under Pressure with David Bowie, obviously, it's a fantastic song. One of the things that I really like about it, and there's another song on this same album that does the exact same thing, and I'm a sucker for it, is how the bass line stays constant, but the chords move around it, and I am an absolute sucker for that in a song. When you've got the chords moving, so when you play, if you play Under Pressure on guitar, you sort of start off with a D, then you come down to a G, and it's sort of a descending set of notes that you come down, but the bass line just stays the same no matter what chords are behind it. And I love when songs do that. There is another song on here, as I say, that does exactly the same thing, and that is Las Parablas de Amor. That does it as well. It's got this constant bass line, but with the chords shifting around it, and it's something that's... There's something about it for me that I really, really like. And Las Palabras de Amor was a song that I almost nearly put in this top 30. It was just missed out. But Under Pressure is an absolute stunner of a song. And that is my number 5. My number 4 song is Radio Gaga. Now, I could make a case for Radio Gaga being my absolute favourite Queen song. But I've gone with it as number 4 here. And I think probably any of this top 4 that I've got could argue as my number 1. Radio Gaga is a song that I remember very, very clearly where I was the first time I heard it. And it was on really crackly old AM radio, so it was not good quality at all. It was late at night in a car, travelling back from a Hull City midweek night match when I was about 12 years old. It was probably about 10, 11 o'clock at night. That came on the radio. I thought, I love this. This is fantastic, and I've loved it ever since. I love the video with all the fan club members doing the just the synchronicity of getting those fan club members to do that looks great. The whole video with its sort of theme based on sort of old German cinema excerpts is really great. There's a lot of people who can explain that a lot more clearly than I can. That's about as in depth as I can go on that. But Radio Gaga for me is a song that Freddie was superb doing it live as well. He really got into it. You know, when Freddie's doing all his stuff on stage, and he loved to do that to Radio Gaga. You could tell he was really enjoying it. Fantastic song at number 4. At number 3, also from the works, it's I Want to Break Free. This is a song that I've always loved, but it's a song that almost killed the career in America. I don't think the video with them dressing up in a Coronation Street style really translated well to an American audience who didn't really understand the joke as we saw it here in the UK. Fantastic song. I love the video as well. Just the way that Freddie's vacuuming and he goes off into a dream and he ends up sort of in a ballet dance with lots of other dancers, just really sort of playing out his fantasy, and then it's back to reality in a sort of a backstreet Manchester terraced house. But absolutely fantastic song. That is my number 3. Now, I had a real kind of dilemma about these last 2 songs. One of them is very easy to guess what it's going to be. You know, there's one song that looms very, very large in Queen's history that I haven't mentioned yet. And I was trying to decide whether to put it at number 1 or number 2. And you know that I'm talking about Bohemian Rhapsody, of course. And I really had to sort of think about this difference between best and favourite. And I think there is a distinction there, because if I was going to say what do I think is the best song Queen have ever done, what is their crowning achievement that they will be remembered for in centuries to come, it's Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm not going to pretend anything otherwise. But is it my favourite? And that's a dilemma that I've had here. And I've decided that it's not my favourite. It's my second favourite. So from A Night at the Opera, it's Bohemian Rhapsody at number 2. It is obviously an absolute epic. The way that it brings in different styles throughout the song and different themes, that the video for it was groundbreaking. Everything about this song is groundbreaking and brilliant. And I loved how it got a kind of a renaissance in the early 90s thanks to Wayne's World. One of my favourite films of all of that era, but the way that kind of introduced it to a new audience. The timing was right, whilst also being very unfortunate because it was obviously very close. It was within a few months of Freddie's death as well when that came out, so the timing was kind of all right for it to really launch the song again to a new audience. It is their greatest achievement, there's no doubt about it, but it is my number 2. So, what is my favourite Queen song? Can you guess? If you try and have a guess, pause the video at the moment and just type in the comments what you think my number 1 is going to be. See if you get it right. Okay, my number 1, my favourite Queen song of all time is from this album, A Day at the Races. And it is track number 6, Somebody to Love. Absolutely stunning song from start to finish. I think it's kind of everything that Queen were good at wrapped up in one song. The way that it builds, there's some fantastic Roger Taylor drum fills, you've got fantastic bass throughout it, Brian May's on top form, the vocals, the way that, again, I've talked about layered vocals on Queen songs, the way that they've built that into an operatic song is absolutely fantastic. But sometimes it can take another performance of it to really make you see how magnificent the song is. And for me, it was when George Michael did Somebody to Love at the tribute concert to Freddie back in 1992, I think it was. And it was very much, I get the impression watching that George Michael almost kind of turned up with maybe the same attitude that Freddie turned up with to Live Aid. Freddie turned up to Live Aid and he just absolutely owned it. There was other great things on the day. U2 were magnificent, for example. But Queen's Live Aid performance was Freddie saying, I'm the man. I'm going to own this concert. I'm here. And I think several years later, I think George Michael did the same thing with Somebody to Love. He turned up and it was a case of he's going to put absolutely everything into this song and he's going to absolutely nail it. It was phenomenal and it kind of made me appreciate the song even more. But the way that it builds up, the way that the vocals, as I say, are just so textured, the song rises, it goes, calms back down, builds up to a big finish. Everything about it is perfect in my eyes. That is my number one Queen song, Somebody to Love. Thank you very much for watching and I will see you again very soon. Cheers. Bye-bye.